Right, welcome back to the Me and ADHD podcast. This is the start of the new season, an exciting season, I like to think. It's the third season, and it's come after a long break. I've had a bit of time off, just because I need some just chill time. No medication at the time, so that was a pretty tough to work with. But I'm back with a vengeance. And today, helping me to kick off episode number 1 is a fellow late diagnosed ADHD, Tik Tok content creator, and ADHD support group creator. A really just nice guy, late diagnosed, Scott Moore. Welcome, Scott. Thank you for joining us. Do you know, I always try and I always try and write a little bit of a script at the beginning so I can, I know what I'm saying. And as I'm reading it, my head's going, and then I end up making it up, and it's not, it's never good. So, as much as I try to actually prepare for everything, it doesn't always go to plan.
That's how we do things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, welcome anyway. I'm glad you're here. All right. So your story really is coming from a more of I guess an impulsive sort of position. So we're talking about impulsivity.
Yeah.
And I haven't done a lot of talking about that, to be honest with you, purely because I'm not massively impulsive myself. We've talked about lots of different things as well. So I'm glad you're on here. I'm glad this is the topic we're talking about, and it needs to be talked about more, and it needs to be covered. So for you then, I mean, going back to the beginning, when were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed February this year.
Okay, so that's really, really sort of,
Yeah.
really late, I guess. So you're still new to the whole journey.
Yeah, massively. It's only been a few months where I finally got my head around it. I'm learning more about it. Obviously, I'm medicated now as well. But also, I found out recently my GP now it's actually stated on there that I should have been diagnosed for it in 2016, but never happened.
That's crazy.
I had no clue, so I got the notes.
Man, that's. But I mean, to be fair, I mean everything about the journey of ADHD seems to be very mismatched and unhinged. And it's just it's not free flowing at all. It's just, which is a shame.
Yeah.
And what subtype are you?
I'm combined.
You're combined. Okay.
Yeah.
I always like
combined.
to say again.
Very high combined.
Yeah.
On the chart that was done, my impulsivity was on 99th percentile.
Yeah.
Hyperactivity was the same as well, 99th percentile. And inattentive was 78th. It was quite high.
Yeah. That's so. What does it mean to be impulsive then? I mean, I know, as people say, we all can be impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's not the same, me and you. But so what does impulsivity mean for you in your life?
In me as a person, I find myself where before I think I react. I'm very reactive. If I'm upset with something, I'll react before I even think. I'm known to be quite explosive. I literally have no filter. It just comes out where I think, where I say. It's literally out in seconds. And afterwards, I think about it quite a lot. But also, as a child, teenager growing up as well, exactly the same thing as well. If I saw something that was interesting, I'll just go for it. All hands on deck. No planning, no thought at all.
So what sort of situations can that end with, I guess?
So my early years as a teen, it was a lot of trouble. I was involved in a lot of fighting. I have a lot of trouble in terms of getting myself in trouble with people. I use my mouth by arguing, or the back chatting. If there's 10 people there, I wouldn't have any care in the world. I'd just jump in there at first. I was put myself in danger. Also, as a teen, it was a case of if I saw people that were doing something, I thought, that's quite good. It did involve in the past some, I'll explain it, stealing of cars. That was a case of, that'd be interesting. I just did it. No thought behind it, no process. So it's always been a case of where these times in the past put myself in danger. or stop by doing it.
Okay. So you think that, I mean, what you're saying now about the cars and things, it's all about we
It was
talk about,
chasing dopamine.
yeah, we talk about the dopamine and all that as well,
I
and
was
the
chasing it, and I
interest.
was always after it, always wanted it, always felt like I needed something to give me something to look for. That's how I've always been.
Yeah. I know that's a struggle that a lot of ADHDers, because it's something that in our brain that we kind of like need, but when
Yeah,
we can't get enough of it, I guess it's not getting through how it should get
yeah,
through. So that is like there's an innate kind of need to
yeah,
find it. And I guess that's one of the reasons why they say we have an interest based nervous system. We need to
yes,
have that interest. We need to have that kind of focus in that way, something that's going to get us going and hype us up. And you know, because
yeah,
boredom is painfully boredom. It's not just boredom, it
yes.
is painfully boredom. It's just, yeah.
The
So
moment I'm bored, the moment I'm searching for something straight away.
yeah. And I guess, without that direction, without the knowledge of what it's all about and what you can do,
Yeah,
you can only do naturally what naturally either comes to your mind or whatever is available at that moment in time,
yeah,
where you are. um
yeah,
so okay.
yeah.
So how does that affect you now? I mean, what's
I'm the same now. I'm
yeah,
36 this year. I've still got one of the shortest fuses ever. Um, if something I don't like, I'll just say I have an opinion on it. I'll state it. I'm thinking of repercussions or the impact somebody else it has. And afterwards, then I'll think about it all day. I'll stew about it. But then other times, it's odd. If it's a person that I don't really have much interest in the person, I would say
yeah,
it and just walk away. But if it's a person that obviously I care about or a family member or anything like that, I'll say it, instantly regret it, and then mellow. I'll think about it all day. Um, Actions as well, spending. If I want something, I'll just go and I'll buy it, need it or not.
yeah.
Or if you think about something I want, 3 or 4 days, I'll be like, yeah, I want it. Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, I do, and I'll buy it anyway. So it's yeah, it's one of the things. It's quite interesting.
And how do you find that affects your life?
It has
Be
done
it,
in the past. Yeah, and we can do with obviously buying things you don't need, wasting money. That's been quite important to you at the time. It's especially in younger years, like 18, 19 year olds, we're going out and just spending money, just anything you need. We don't need it if you want.
yeah,
It definitely impacts it. It can impact relationships, it can impact financial needs.
it
Yeah,
can take
definitely
its
can.
toll. It can take its
Yeah,
toll. So I mean, a question that I guess people without the inside knowledge will easily ask is, well, why can't you just control it? Why not?
I
Why
wish I
not
could.
just say no? I'm not going to do it.
That's one thing I find quite hard. There's times where, in a situation where that may arise, and now this thing in my head, it's like an inner voice, where it's like, yeah, you need that. You want that. Yeah, go and get it. It's fine. Yeah, you have it. But then in your heart, you're thinking, I don't need that. But it's always conflicted
Mm,
constantly with fruit. Always. But your head always overrules it all. For ADHD, your head controls, I find, every aspect of my choice making. It overrules my heart every time. That's how my impulsivity is so high. That's like the engine. And if my that part's quite ignored half the time, it just, yeah,
yeah.
you into overdrive, you overthink it, you shoot it for days and days and days, and then you get to the point you're like, yeah, I'm going it. I'm going for it.
How
It's
do you
it's not
how
like
do
a
you feel
switch.
afterwards? So what
Um,
you've done it. You've got something. You've done something. Whatever it is, and it's then completed. It's done.
yeah,
How do you feel afterwards?
no, it's almost like nothing's happened. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's no joy from it, no happiness from it. I could talk about it for days, 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 and I buy it. I'm like, oh, okay, I bought it now.
It's
That's
yeah.
literally it.
Kind of like
Switch it off.
yeah, kind of like a quick dose, a quick release, a quick fix, so to speak, and then that's it. It's done and dusted.
Gone.
Yeah,
On to the next.
yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah, it
I
is.
just, I'm saying I'm the same. I'm not the same, but when it comes to impulsivity, my impulsivity isn't as extreme, but it's
Mhm.
there. But I do find that when I buy something, and it's usually the buying of things, when I buy something, it is afterwards, it's just a waste. I've
Yeah, I return
literally
a lot of things.
going back to it, going back to how long I've wanted this for and thought about it. It's like, well, this is pointless. It was pointless,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm saying I return most of the things anyway.
Yeah,
But mine is more. That's one aspect of it. But the main part of my impulsivity is my actions as a person. Literally no lack of. I've literally with no filter whatsoever. What I say, if I feel it, I would say. And sometimes it's not always a good thing, but it's hard to
yeah,
control. I was not bringing in help either. I had a very trauma-based upbringing, which wasn't about this, which obviously I think personally enhances my impulsivity. So I'm going to say what I think, and I'm very protective of myself because of my upbringing as well, which obviously impulsivity makes that worse with my reactions and how I act at times.
yeah. I find
Enhance it definitely.
it. What I've seen from my journey so far, and talking to a lot of other people about their, I guess, presentations. It's quite obvious that the surroundings, your past, I guess, life history and the surroundings you're in at the moment
Yeah.
can have a massive impact on the signs and the symptoms of your ADHD
Yeah.
presentations.
Look, so my diagnosis explained to the clinician anyway that I was diagnosed 15 with PTSD from upbringing. He was very abusive, very violent, saw a lot of stuff, experienced a lot of things. And he said people with PTSD are more likely to have high impulsivity because they want to defend themselves when they're older,
Yeah,
and they want to be more in control of their own life and in control of how they're perceived by people, which is why I'm so reactive to people now.
yeah. So do you find, you said you're medicated, so do you
Yes.
find that the medication, I know it's trying to get the right medication can be,
Yes.
hard work in the first place, but do you find whether it's doing a good job when it comes to like focus and things like that, do you find it helps at all with the impulsivity?
At the moment, no. Had a phone call last week with my clinician about it actually, and he said we're trying all sorts of moments. Obviously, 90 milligram on one day, I go to a concerto, which is a really high dose. Impulsivity at the moment, it's not helping at all. I'm confused by it, if I'm honest. It's helping
Yeah.
with some aspects of my life, but focus is not the best still, especially in working environment. Impulsivity, I've not seen any difference at all. I've noticed that when I have medication now, I think my head feels calmer, but my reactions as impulsivity is we're still really heightened and sharp.
Okay. Where when it comes to, I mean, I know a little bit about sort of medication and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not loads. Is medication meant to help with the impulsivity, or the medication that you're on
It's
meant to help with it?
mainly, he explained to me on the phone the other day, it's mainly for your focus and for your being of calmer as a person, and your head just being more of a place where it's less erratic, which should help your focus concentration more than anything.
Yeah.
My focus at the moment is not great, especially at work or if someone's the eye contact does, but awful, and in conversation, I just drift. But it's hoping impulsivity can help with it. Medication can help with that, but it's not mainly for that.
Okay.
It made the focus, the concentration, and how you feel in general. Because I was quite, for medication, I had really high mood swings with it being combined.
Yeah.
One day I was absolutely fine, really, really happy as Larry, and then one day I was so low, it would last about a week. And then some day I woke up with dark thoughts. So the medication that's helped that aspect of it. It's taken the dark thoughts away now completely.
Oh,
It's
that's
been
good.
really nice to wake up to the morning.
Yeah.
But focused at the moment, we're not there yet, which is why we're going to 90 milligram Monday, which is quite a high dose. But the impulsivity, if it helped with that, that would be a little cherry on the cake. But yeah, I'm not really hopeful about that at the moment.
Are they advised what would be good for the impulsivity? I mean, different types of therapy or anything like that?
He's mentioned it once I'm set on the medication, he's recommended potential therapy. In the past, when I was younger, I had CBT, I've had intensive CBT, I've had counselling. never worked before, obviously, but I was diagnosed then. It was more speak of childhood in the past. Whereas hopefully once that with medication, we could go into that again and potentially help with that. We don't know yet. Or again, it's like a tweak medication, we'll try different types if we need to, but we'll just unsettled, we'll go from there and try.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of dealing with one thing before the other. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, and you can't. Well, I mean, it would be great if you could, but generally you can't, deal with everything at the same time.
Exactly.
And if you're sorting out the focus first of all, which in a way would be good, because if your focus is there, you go to therapy, you can listen better, you can understand it better. So
in the past with therapy, I would go CBT. I'll go 1 week, miss the next week. I'll go home with homework, wouldn't even do it.
Yeah,
I'll sit in the conversation with them. We'll take anything in. So hopefully get the focus in place and then go to it again. Maybe I'll be able to focus better this time.
No, that's fair enough.
It's concern for me, is impulsive to me. That's a concern mostly for me. My focus obviously impacts your work. It does.
Yeah.
But impulsive for me, it's a fact I want to be in a place where I can think before I act.
And that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Who was it? Russell Barkley, the psychiatrist. He said that it's a disorder. It's not a disorder of knowing what to do. It's a disorder of doing what you know. And it makes so much sense, because it's not that you don't know what to do. It's literally doing it. There's like a big, a wall in front of you, and that. Take a breather for 10 seconds before you react, and then so you can think about it and then you react. That all makes sense, but it's when you're in the moment.
Yes,
that seems a lot of the time impossible to do.
Yeah, I'm like a switch. It just goes and then I just explode. I blow. Yeah. It's a hard one. But like I say, my diagnosis, it's quite surprised actually how high it was, my impulsivity and my hyperactivity, both being 99 percentile. You don't normally find that, you said, in men of both being that high.
Okay.
Which is why I was a bit surprised that it was so high.
Do you find that the hyperactivity side affects the impulsivity as well?
It can do.
Yeah.
If I'm hyper one day, or say yesterday I was quite hyper, and I felt like I had a moment where the 3 or 4 hours where I was quite hyper, impulsivity was boiled. It was crazy. Enhances it, which percent. And the impulsivity then, when I get the impulse rush and I get dopamine that I need, that increases the hyperactivity because I'm in a good mood. So it's like, a bit of both.
So how I mean, I know we're talking about it, and it seems like an easy conversation to sort of have, and I know it's not. Yeah. How does it make you feel? I mean, you as a person who's going through this, how does that make you feel personally?
Impulsivity in general, you mean? Or how bad it is?
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, this is what you have to deal with every day.
Yeah. In the past year before being diagnosed, I was always the same, and I was always concerned that I would pop myself in a situation where it was really dangerous, where I'll get really big in trouble, or end up, I don't know, in hospital, or because mainly as a child, it was always a case of aggression. It's more impulsivity. It was fighting. It was getting in trouble with people, and that was always, it was going down a bad path. Now I'm 35, I'm still really impulsive. I still will explode at times. So the concern for me, the worry for me is, the longer it goes on, am I eventually going to meet that end where it's like for danger or in trouble?
Yeah.
That's always been there my whole life, but as I'm being diagnosed now, it's always there still. Back of mind. Is where it's going to end up.
Yeah. I think as you get older, things naturally change as you get older, life experiences and things like that, and the more things you've gone through as well. So, I mean, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, when you're younger, you're not really thinking about the consequences even afterwards.
Hmm.
But as you're older, there is that understanding of there are consequences and this can happen. It is a reality.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they start to kind of like now sort of sit on your shoulder and say, well, this is not going to, but it's still
Yeah.
not helping you
No.
to stop. But it's just that, I guess, that added pressure, I guess, that
Yeah, it's, I
acknowledgement that
think
this
when you're
is
a
not the,
child and you do something like that, or it's impulsive, or say, I'll be in a fight would end really badly, and then I'd go home, yeah, I was in trouble, but our parents were there to back me. My mum was there, should I say.
yeah,
I know my mum would be there, and have parents where now you're an adult, it's all on you.
yeah,
It's my responsibility now, where I was her responsibility back then.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, that's a reality of
yeah,
it, you know. But yeah, you're dealing with it, and as adults, we deal with it as best we can
yeah,
without the help that we need.
yeah.
Um, so what's kind of for you then? How how do you see the sort of the way forward through it?
I don't know right now. Like I said, I spoke to him last week, cliche, and he was the same. He was like, I want to get your focus sorted first, then hopefully we can get you like then sort of help. Then we can focus on it and actually do it at home and work on yourself and that aspect of it.
Yeah,
But me personally, I have no idea how I even start to improve how I'm as a person, especially the reactive part of it. Look, in the past, I did CBT, I did counselling, I did all sorts of the past CPN nurses a lot. Um, but I felt like it didn't get me at the time because obviously I wasn't diagnosed.
yeah,
They had no idea I was diagnosed. And all they just thought was in that moment I was labelled depressed. That's all they were working on. So at that point, I think I had the tools to give them,
yeah,
and they're the tools to give me. Hopefully, when I get my concentration and my focus in a better place, and my diagnosis and the paperwork that I got with it, I can say, okay, the situation, this is me now with Scott. What can you do for me now? How can we work
yeah,
together? So I
yeah,
need that the first, I think.
yeah. No,
That's why I'm a quick.
that's fair enough. Did you find that getting the diagnosis and getting the answers of your life, did you find getting that diagnosis helped you?
It gave me an understanding
Yeah,
of why I am,
yeah,
and who I am as a person because I was lost. I was at a point in my life where I was waking up daily not wanting to be alive. And I'd wake up thinking, okay, how's today going to be? How am I going to be today? Especially the mood swings that were really, really bad. And this point in my life now, I have an amazing partner who's incredible. I could actually speak to her for the first time in my life. Well, since being diagnosed, I've actually been open for the first ever time about myself.
yeah,
It made me open up a lot more as well. In the past, I was too ashamed because I had no idea what was going on with myself. And me as a person, I had no idea who I was, who Scott was, or what my life even was, because I just was a motion of the frustration, anger, impulsivity, hyperactivity, low mood. It was just bored frustration. And the answer gave me the clarity to actually be like, okay, there's something there now that, and this confirms that I can actually accept it now and speak about it. And not
that's
alone anymore, then basically was.
yeah, that's good. And I find a lot of people in the same boat, and myself as well. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety,
Yeah.
and that was this is the classic diagnosis.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Medicated
Um,
for years on it, on and off.
yeah. And but because nothing made sense, you can't when people ask oh, why is this happening and things like that, and how are you feeling, and there's no answers there. You don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense
Yep.
whatsoever. So I never talked about it. My family didn't know about depression or anything like that at all. My wife did because I opened up to my wife, the first person I'd be able to talk to.
Yeah.
But when I got diagnosed, I found that for the first time everything made sense, and for the first time I have a voice.
Yeah.
There's no way before my diagnosis am I going to be speaking to someone I don't know on a webcam about, our in-depth feelings and thoughts. And,
Yeah.
there's, or just even just saying hi, it was never going to happen. I'm not a great conversationist. I keep away from people most of the time. But the diagnosis, give the answers, just gave you that clarity,
Yeah.
to know what is going on. Okay, no, I can't fix it or anything. And I hate it. I don't want it. I hate it. But I understand now.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I felt like. Yeah, it was huge. I'm not an emotional man normally, but I am sat in that room at work on that phone call, and within 15 minutes of being on the phone to a clinician, he went, "You're walking away today with diagnosis guaranteed." And I sobbed. I never do that.
yeah,
15 minutes of the appointment, after the QB test we did as well, he was like, I know. I guarantee walking away today, Scott, don't worry. There's no doubt.
yeah,
So that was just, yeah, it was just a huge relief, just knowing it's not just me, and a sense of, okay, it's not just me now, there's more out there.
yeah. No,
So I always thought I was
absolutely.
alone. That's what I always felt like. I was completely lost the person.
And that's,
And it showed
yeah,
as a child, as a teen, as a early adult. Making friends was difficult. I'd find a person that I thought, oh yeah, they're okay. And then a week could go by, and then I was like, oh, I don't exist anymore, they've gone. So, but yeah, it all made sense as I got older. And now I can look back at my life now, go, yeah, that makes sense now. That makes sense. That makes sense. It was comes together with a picture,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
puzzle.
As people don't understand how much being, a big question is, are we older in life? You're doing okay. Why do you need to know now?
Yeah.
You don't know the life that we've lived. You don't
They
know
thought I was doing
the
okay, but I wasn't
torment.
doing okay. I was hiding it. I hid away my feelings, my friends, colleagues, most of my family. They had no idea that I was labelled with depression and all sorts over the years. It was just I had medication. Only a few people knew. And then I became a master of masking it, just hiding it. I was pretending, okay, they don't know me as this person. So with that, if I see them, I'll act that person they know. And it's okay. And if there's somebody else that looks at me differently, I'll be like, okay, I can act that way now in front of them. And it's okay because I don't know. Like 10 different masks. That's what
Yeah.
it was like. And he was absolutely exhausted.
Yes. Incredibly exhausting. And
Yeah.
it's so hard to do. And you do that a lot, and it kind of makes it worse because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You're always an actor.
Yeah.
You're an actor on stage telling someone else's story, and it's not yours. And you just grow older, not actually knowing who you actually are.
Yeah. Always. And having no one to talk to about it because if I don't understand it, nobody else would. So just keep it to myself.
Yeah.
And I get burnout, and then I get to a point where I was very much exhausted or tired. Then I got more moody, being exhausted, and then I get burnout. I'm masking so much. And then you hide away from everybody else a few weeks. Then you go back out with a new mask.
Yeah. Like, nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tough one. Being the late diagnosed because it's missed completely. And like
Yeah.
I said about friendship as well, it's hard because a lot of kids grow up not having any close friends.
Yeah.
You know, because they're the too over the top one, too loud one, too boisterous one, too impulsive one. That the one who wants to fight all the time, the one who wants to drink all the time. Or it could be the one who doesn't say much and hides in the corner. It's that you don't fit into how they want to be,
No.
and you're left out a lot.
Yeah, and you
And
find yourself, look, you see people in the outside world. Look, I was only 15 years old, started drinking out in town because everybody else was doing it. I was like, I'm going to try that. And 15 onwards, up until my early 20s, I was out every single weekend, getting drunk, and people were like, oh, you're only 15 years old, that's great, exciting. I was like, yeah, but it actually numbs how I feel. he hides. Yeah, that's why I started quite young. But yeah, there were people my age were like, oh, I can't go at that age. Well, I do. I just do it. I just go out. And no one's telling me otherwise.
Yeah.
Because again, impulsivity was there to just, I like that idea of that. And then I'd do it. I was like, oh, okay. That's okay. If I'm drunk, he hides it.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyway, but yeah.
No, yeah.
Young years, you think it's fun.
Did you always find that when you're impulsive, not say always, I guess, but majority of the time, when you're being impulsive, not so much with the money and buying things, but your actions and what you were doing, were you always with someone else or a group of people, or were you
Sometimes,
on your own?
a couple of friends, yeah. But there's quite a few times on my own. I'd be out with my friends and like I'd do something on my own, risky or stupid, and then there's a huge buzz because no one knew.
Yeah.
And I knew what I'd do. It wasn't always someone else's. Yeah, a bit of both really. But it's just a case of things that you do. You think, wow. I look back now and think, why did I do that?
That's what you live with. You know, that shame of the things you did or didn't do, or feel or act or didn't act, or there's a lot of baggage that comes with it that you have to drag around with you.
Yeah, definitely there really is. I've not met anyone yet who's as impulsive as me. It's quite nice to find someone and find out because yeah, at the moment this is the first one that I know.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not that person. But yeah, you do. As when you get into the, I guess, and you find your own tribe, you know, of diagnosed, or basically ADHD is.
Yeah.
You kind of relate in a lot of ways, and it becomes more of a family thing and a close friendship thing because there's so much that you all relate to, and there's matters of acceptance, which is the main thing.
Yes.
You know, you feel that you can be open with people, and they're not going to judge you because you know they're sitting there going, "Yeah, done that. Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. That's what I did." And yeah,
100%.
Which is great. But it's also nice to find the people who have your, I guess, your niche strong struggles, like for yourself, the impulsivity. And I want to, and I would love to, speak more. And I found one on my last podcast, my last episode, but I don't know many, I don't know any apart from one, inattentive type ADHDers.
Yeah.
So I'm inattentive, and everyone else I meet is combined.
Yeah.
So it's when I met this lady, she came on my podcast, and it was just amazing. Her journey was so similar to mine in regards to what she went through, and when she went to the doctors for anything, it was like wow, and everything just ran true with those things. And it's nice to have that as well. It gives it even more of a, I don't know, it gives you more validation, I guess.
Yeah.
You kind of need that because you need to know everything that's going on in your head is, normal. Okay. It's not your fault in it. It's normal. And it's,
for us,
it's this life and everything, your surroundings, and, your brain is your brain.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also getting it out there as well, obviously, that it's more to ADHD than a label. There's more out there that goes on in our lives and our heads that people aren't aware of. It's obviously, it's labelled as hyperactivity when it first came out, isn't it? But there's a lot more to it, that the darker side to it, that a lot of people don't really know about, because it's not really spoken about a lot, which is why obviously us, guys diagnosed, we obviously speak about it more. But the stigma's still there. But hopefully in time it recognises more than just that.
Yeah. I don't understand why the stigma is still there. I mean,
after all these years.
After all these years. And it's not as if the science isn't there. The science is there. The proof is there. It's all there. But still, there's some real bizarre things coming out, and it's not down to, it's down to this, and it's still bad parenting. It's just like how is that still being talked about? It's not bad parenting.
I was born in '89. I went to school in the '90s, and I was labelled naughty. Worse, worse names than that. But I was just labelled that all the time. Yes, I was at school. I was disruptive. I was loud, obnoxious. Even though I got a stammer, as I got older, that improved.
Yeah.
At school, in my early years, I wouldn't even speak. I could barely say my name. My stammer was so bad, and then obviously I was naughty, disruptive, walking out of class, getting in trouble. And I went to seniors. It was a case I went to multiple schools. My behaviour. Was a program where they would take me out to school if they were doing exams. I would go on a day trip somewhere because I was disruptive. I was labelled naughty, and I never ever got asked once in the 90s or noughties at school if I was okay. It's based detention, being a pain, disruptive, ignoring us. The school report says the same thing every time, every year. He's really bright, he can employ himself, he enjoys being the class clown, and disruptive. But again, that was all masking.
Yeah.
I didn't pass some exams in the end. Everyone, I finally learned to knuckle down. But it was just every report's the same. Everyone.
It's one of those things that they kind of like ask for, and helps with your assessment journey about the school reports.
That's it.
You know, because they do tell a big story.
Yeah, they're very similar every single time, but I think the noughties and the 90s, I think the education was there for ADHD at the time, and I've never asked once, "Are you okay?" Ever.
It's hard.
Yeah. And then you get older, and then you realise that, okay, it all makes sense.
It's like the building the bridges after that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think then? Kind of how I guess society could change then. What do you think should happen really?
I think it'd be good if they actually listened to us, and when we say things, just try and understand. If we're saying it, we're feeling it. Not saying it to be the part of a trend or make things new or fresh. I think with ADHD is you overshare, which is a massive thing for us. But just ask us. Yeah, but don't be afraid to ask us. Just ask us what's like of ADHD, and we'll tell you the truth. I don't think we hide it anymore now being diagnosed. I think we're actually more open than ever.
Yeah.
And if we tell you that, then listen to us and just believe us. I don't think a lot of us, well, I don't personally lie about any of my symptoms because they're horrendous. If I'm telling you I feel this way, that's the truth. If I used to wake up like feeling suicidal, and I've told you that ain't depression. That's part of it. There's part of it people don't know.
Yeah.
Really dark side of it. With our experience being combined. I had really dark days, but I just wish people would ask us, and we tell them, just be like, oh, okay, and just actually believe us. That's the thing. Because I was on, if we read now, oh, it's a trend to ADHD, it ain't real. I was messaged by someone recently to say, oh, it's fake, it's not really pretending. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's just about education and then learning from us.
Yeah. I mean, they say ADHDers are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide.
Yep.
That's the figures. We have a reduced life expectancy. That's not down to being naughty. That's not a naughty thing. Okay.
That's fine.
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than just being naughty. Or just not paying attention. There's a lot that goes with it.
There's a lot more, yeah, there is.
And like you said, they need to ask the questions and listen and try and understand and believe. Because yes, there are people with ADHD out there who are living a great life and they can do things, and they love their ADHD because in their world it's helped them and things like that. And which is great if that's your superpower, and you want to look at it. All credit to you,
Yeah.
I know I am in it when I'm in a high stress level, life and death thing. I would be a good paramedic. I'd be a great paramedic, and my ADHD would help me. You
Yes.
know, but I'm in my 50s and I'm not a paramedic,
Yeah.
so it's not helping me. All right.
No,
Okay.
I get it completely. I get that. I'm amazing in a crisis somebody else. My own crisis, no, I fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very similar.
So it's this. There's so much in it, and I understand the education isn't. I mean, it should be there because the science and everything has been there for a long
Yeah.
time. But I think it's, I guess, down to us
Yes.
to keep the conversation going, keep talking, put it out there, talk about the real lives and the science,
Mm.
because what you live with when you have ADHD is mostly not what you're being assessed on for for a
Yeah.
diagnosis.
Yeah. It's
Okay. And I've always said, like, the mainly when you get assessed, most of the things that you're assessed on, those are things you don't really struggle with. I mean, yes, you got the actions, you got the, like, say, the impulsivity,
yeah.
but it's not the impulsivity that's the issue. It's the afterwards, because of the impulsivity.
Yes.
The,
Yeah.
the shame, the getting in trouble, the money issues, and all that. That's what we struggle with.
Yeah. There's
You
a lot
know.
more, isn't there? Yeah. Look, including maybe food. I can walk to it. It's just a lot of things. Look, the food as well. I can walk to a fridge just completely full. I still order a takeaway. I can I can do anything like that. So there's a lot more to it. Actually, it impacts your health as well.
Yeah.
It does. Like before I got really really low with my ADHD, before I was diagnosed, I was running all the time. I was at football all the time, doing all this stuff, and it got to the point where I just stopped everything, and then I got really unhealthy. I gained weight. I was eating I was- it was really bad food every single day because I couldn't compute or work out how to go to the fridge and create a meal at some point. My brain was got completely blank, and then I thought of making a basic recipe. I couldn't do it. I couldn't compute it in my own head. I got a habit of eating just takeaway and bad food and ordering food. There's a lot more. It impacts your health as much as your body, your brain, your actions. And if there was no science there behind it, it wouldn't medicate, would they? So
Yeah.
that's also why there's more to it. But it impacts a lot more than people think it does, because it really impacts your health as well. A lot of the times, we can do. It's even more so than mental health, but physical health.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I mean, exercise and everything does help, in a lot of ways. But then you put exercise in reality. I'm my past life, before I became a stay-at-home dad. My past life, I'm a personal trainer and I should manage health clubs, and so I've always been active, always been working out, and that's great. But as I got older, things in my life changed. Stresses sort of went up, and just relationship dynamics all sort of changed. So things do change, and I
Yeah,
found after, well, nearly not afterwards, I guess, but just before the end, I couldn't do it. I struggled to work out. I struggled
yeah,
to, not just saying the motivation, but it just wasn't doing it. I just couldn't put myself through it,
yeah,
because everything else was on top of me. And even now, I mean, it's really hard just to go for a walk now.
yeah. I met my
You
partner
know,
a couple of years ago, and I was running, I was jogging, everything was all good, and then I think I hit my ankle. It, it healed okay. The thought now in my head, I want to go for a run every single day like I used to, but finding that the drive in me to get up, put my shorts on, and go, I'm finding it impossible. Literally impossible. I used to love it. I used to go every single day. So it does impact you a lot more than you think. Um, yeah, it's an odd one, especially the exercise part, because I used to do it all the time. I used to run and run and run. And now it's like, I'm downstairs and start thinking, okay, in half an hour, I'll put my shorts on my trousers and I'll go for a run. It never happens.
yeah.
Never. It's bizarre. That's why on weekends now, We got a little dog last year. He's one now, and we go walking the dog together. So now a partner comes, I'll go. She'll be like, "Yep, I'm going to walk now. Come on."
Yep.
It works. But on my own head, if I go, "Yeah, I run lights on my own," it never materialises ever. It's a it's a very bizarre world we live in.
It is. It is. I mean, I used to sort of listen or hear people say things like, it doesn't define you and things like that. And I'm on the fence because I don't know. I don't know the science behind it and enough to say yes or no. But I can't think. When they say that you're more than just your ADHD. Well, in my head, my ADHD affects everything that is my personality.
Yeah.
How I think, how I react, how all those things, and how I act when I'm in a good mood, how I act when I'm a bad mood. Everything affects my personality. So if that's the case, am I not all ADHD then? I am ADHD.
And I agree with you. I think the same. I think it says, and the science is there to say it's hereditary. It's passed down in DNA, which means that it's part of you. And I find myself personally, especially after being diagnosed, that every action I do, every part of my brain is controlled by it because it's just me as a person now, I think. And yeah, and I hear people who are more than that. If you are more than that, then fantastic. I'm really glad you can be that way. But it controlled my life for 30 years before being diagnosed. And if I look back now, it controlled me then. And it made me the person I was then. It makes the person I am now. We just have more understanding of it all. So I'm not on the fence. If I'm being impulsive here, I'm just going to say I think it is actually part of us. And if science is there to say it's in our DNA. And I have a son who's got ADHD. To my family, it is. Yeah, it's a person I think it is a huge part of us as people.
Yeah.
Can control my life as a child, as a teen, especially as an adult. If it's always been there, then obviously it's part of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Every
As you know me on the group chat, I always say what I think. I can't help that, but yeah, personally, I think it is a huge part of us.
Yeah, it has. Well, I say it has to be, but every decision
Science
you
that say
make,
it is, isn't that?
yeah,
There's science there behind it as well. So every choice I make is not always, well, I'll pause, I'll think it through, I'll react this way, that way. Now, if I hear something, I'm like, yeah, I'll react that way. Just how we always do. So it's a big part of it.
But even if you didn't react, it's because you're trying to put your foot down and you're trying to cope with everything and you're trying to manage it. And what you're trying to manage is your ADHD. So you're still doing that because of the ADHD. Everything.
So the medication's there to try and help with it. We still act in a certain way because that's how you are as a person. And the ADHD is always going to be inside you. The medication is just there to try and, in a word, rein it in some aspects. Yeah. But at the moment, for me, in aspects, it is. I feel calmer here. Not so busy, not so loud. Because I used to be a huge overthinker. I'm always literally, my head used to be like, it was like a voice box constantly going off in my head, like a music box. And voices and thoughts and, we were playing my days in my head constantly, over and over again, what I said, what happened. Whereas now, when I have medication and it actually starts working in me, I'm much calmer up here.
Yeah.
But I'm still not focused.
It's
some aspects that he's working.
No, which is good.
It's a long road.
Yes. And I'm
trying medication quite up. My doses are going really, really fast to try and help that because I've gone from obviously 18 milligram Concerta to 90 milligram Concerta in around 4.5 weeks. So it's quite a big jump increases.
Yeah. And it's people don't understand that the medication is great when it works. It doesn't work for everyone. Not every medication is going to work. Like yourself, I've I've just come off Elvance,
Yeah,
um, purely because it was doing nothing for
yeah.
me.
So I
I
found Alvance. So I started
yeah,
Alvance as well. As you know, when I started that, it's okay, but it lasted me. I think my system only felt any effects maybe 3 hours a day, and it was nothing. And then I obviously got Raynaud's, which obviously was really painful, so I had to stop medication anyway and go to Concerta, which I've had Raynaud's at first, but the prolonged release medication. So I've when it's my stomach, it starts working. The first dose released, and then around 3 p.m. I have a second dose released once it's through intestines. And I feel
yeah.
that actually. It's all day now it lasts, which is good. But obviously we're going to try, I'll weigh the balances with the medication and go higher on Monday to try and help a bit more.
I'll touch wood. That's gonna work
And Troy
because
tation's not easy. It is really not easy.
it's not. And
It's been an experience,
yeah,
to say the least.
well, at the very beginning of my sort of journey, I got onto titration. I went private and started the medication within a couple of weeks of my diagnosis. Um, and within I was on Ritalin, methylphenidate,
Yep.
quick release, immediate release. I opted for that, and I think it went up 3 times before it worked. And so it
Yeah.
works fairly quickly in regards to looking at other people. I'm like, I'm really lucky. I got there really quickly, and it worked really, really well. And then after I think about 9 months, it stopped working. So I changed and I went on to dexamphetamines,
Yep.
and that worked really, really well. Again, quick release. I took two a day, because they lasted a lot longer as well, which was great. But then my blood pressure spiked.
Yeah. Yep.
So my blood pressure was like, I think 100, was it 162 over 102, I think was the highest reading. I was like, okay, that's not happening. I can't carry on like that. So, I spoke to clinicians and GPs and all that on blood pressure medication now and everything like that. And then that's when I went on to Elvance,
Yep.
to see if that would be a little easier. And it was, it blood pressure wise,
Yep.
but I wasn't getting anything out of it. So now I'm back on the Dex because I've had like 3.5 months of pretty much no medication, and I'm not really doing very well.
Yeah.
Um, so I went back on the Dex because I know that works, but I'm
Yep.
doing my blood pressure every day, making sure that's stable and keeping that down and things like that. So, but yeah, come from being nice easy, and then to like, yeah, this is kind of a bit of a pain now. This is this is
Yeah.
not easy anymore.
Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it? Because I got the Alvance at first, at 30 milligram, then went straight up to 50 milligram. I was okay at first, but didn't really feel like it lasted long enough. I think maybe 3 or 4 hours in, and it was like nothing. I was loud again. I was noisy again in my head. I was back to being agitated, being just before medication. And then obviously Raynaud's, that happened. That was really painful the first day, excruciating. And then I spoke 111 as my clinician was on holiday, I think. And they advised just stop medication straight away. I had to have 2 weeks of no medication. And wow, it was a rebound.
Mm,
I was so agitated, so irritable, I was sharp, I was snappy, I was really moody. And he said to me that's like a rebound effect. And then Concerta, obviously 18 milligram at first, had no effect. I think it's doubled it, no effect. Then we increased it again, and then I've had some effects. But right now it's now not as bad as it was.
yeah.
It's only intermittent now. Obviously, then as I spoke last week, everything was okay, but my concentration is still really poor. My focus is really poor still, and obviously the impulsivity isn't great. So it's what 90 milligram brings, but yeah, it's it's, it's not an easy road. It's
It's
rotation when you're on meds, off meds, and you're increasing. It's a lot.
it is. I said to my wife when I had to stop, I said it feels like it's all my signs and symptoms are coming back tenfold. It,
Yes,
it's
I
it's
said that.
like it's like you've forgotten what it's like to struggle,
Hmm.
and then because you've had a nice easy time because it's been helping you and anything like that, and then you're going back to struggle, and then you think,
Made you
I
cough
can't
so long.
believe it was this bad, you know. And it's like, this is really, really bad.
Yeah.
How did I do 50 years like this? It's
Yeah, but again, that was our normal for us, wasn't it? That's what we felt on a daily basis. That was our normal.
yeah,
Even though it was hard, it was our normal. So 2 weeks off medication for me was hell. It was. It was so like exhausting mentally again. I was fighting everything I was feeling. It was, yeah. The tritation not easy. I think a lot of people out there who talk about medication being like a fad or a trend don't really understand what it's actually like. Because to put ourselves on that medication is not easy. It's a big choice to make.
it is. It is. There's a lot of effects or whatever from the medication you can have, but it can potentially give you for your life back, or your life to start, let alone give it back.
Yeah.
It can make a massive, massive difference.
Yeah, hugely.
You know?
It also helps there was somebody in your life who we support. Like every wife, I have my partner. She's the only person my whole life I actually be able to speak to about how I feel on a daily basis, and she's so understanding. She's amazing. So we're quite lucky, me and you, at the moment.
And absolutely, absolutely. You know, because
Yeah.
not a lot of people have got that.
And before that, I was always on my own, I used to hide it and just keep it in.
Yeah, yeah.
And then explode even more.
This is it. Because who are you going to tell? Who's exactly. going to believe you? Who's going to understand? What do you say to them? No one's going to care. No one's asked me how I am anyway. So
you got to a point where a couple of years ago, I was so exhausted and burnt out with life that I just had a breakdown. And I walked from my mum's house to a little, it was like a unit, like a mental health little sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it was shut. And I just stood at the door in tears. There's a man in there. I was knocking the door. And he actually opened when it was shut to let me in. And he sat with me. And he got me a drink out of hours and just listened to me. For over an hour. He just sat there looking at me. That's the first time ever I've actually done that to someone. But it's closed. He opened the door for me, which is great. And that's how we can get to sometimes if ADHD is that exhausting that it can happen that way. You can just break down from it all, especially if you're alone doing it.
We need more people like that gentleman.
Yeah.
Just getting that time just to sit down. I always say everybody's got a story. Everyone's got a story. You just don't know it yet. But if you approach them with curiosity and you talk to the people, you'll get to know the story. You know?
Exactly.
So
judging, ask.
Yeah.
Ask first. There's more to it than you think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Scott, it's been great having you on. It's been great having this conversation. I think it's a very important conversation to have because it's a side of ADHD that can have a profound impact on not just your life but other people's lives as well.
Yeah.
And so it's nice for you to be open and come on and do this. I'll obviously put down on the podcast the details of your TikTok account. So if people wanted to follow you to learn a bit more about your journey, maybe chat to you about it or anything like that at all, I'll do that. But as always, guys, be good, be kind, and remember, you're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you.